Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you guys doing? Well, welcome to another episode on SP Files. Well, today we're going to be speaking about a particularly opportunistic individual who has more content against Muslims than he does against enemies of Islam. And we're not talking about Shamsi or any of those individuals because, quite frankly, that doesn't really apply to them. We're talking about this man who's supposedly a graduate of Medina University, Libham. Yes, we're talking about Libham, who unfortunately made a video, an opportunistic video that he has made, not the first, about Ali Dawah and his interaction with one person who shall not be named, quite frankly, a worthless opponent and someone who really doesn't deserve to be even mentioned. Now, these are the issues I have. Number one, the points that were made in that particular video were of a low quality, and I was quite surprised because of the individual that he had on that video seemed to be quite learned. The parlance and the use of terminology that he was using, he seemed to be some kind of a graduate, maybe some kind of academic even, but he was making subpar points one after the other, to the point where he started talking about the legitimacy or lack thereof, in his opinion, of even using arguments for God's existence. And this is something which has been done to death now. He's attacked the people who make arguments for God's existence, said all kinds of things which is not really relevant. He even went as far as to say that the Quran doesn't have a single argument for God's existence, one verse, and he was embellishing the point, emphasizing the point. So of course it's not true, and he labeled people who do make such arguments for God's existence as the Salafi Mutakallimah. It's obviously a bid to try and make himself self-importance, like he's the one who's coining terms that he can now use for other Muslim people in order to stigmatize them. The truth of the matter is, maybe Ibn Taymiyyah would fit in that description, because he himself, when talking about أَمْ خُلِقُوا مِنْ غَيْرِ شَيْءٍ أَمْ هُمُ الْخَالِقُونَ, were they created of themselves, or were they themselves the creators, were they created from nothing, or by nothing, or were they themselves the creators of themselves? He mentions that this is the best way of proving God's existence. So of course Ibn Taymiyyah, according to this man's classification, would be someone who's doing something which is impermissible. In fact, he went further and he said that if someone doesn't believe in the necessary existence, then that doesn't mean that they're not disbelievers. It doesn't mean anything to Islam. This of course is false, because Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions himself in Sharh Aqidat al-Isfahani, and all these references are mentioned in both of my books that I've written, Kalam Cosmological Arguments and Al-Burhan, and in fact are repeated by Sheikh Maher Amir, who's a specialist in Ibn Taymiyyah, who wrote a book, Al-Intisar al-Tadmuriyah, on a SoundCloud thing that he actually put for us, is that the necessary existence translates to a samad. So the man who was making one subpar point after the other, who Sajid had on his podcast, doesn't realize that if you actually do reject the fact that Allah is a samad, the independent one, okay, which is part of wujub, actually, necessity, then you are a kafir by ijma'. So this man is now giving us wrong aqidah points, because he doesn't understand the language of the people of aqidah of the past, of the people who wrote the philosophers or whoever, mutakallimin. Doesn't understand the language, or potentially does understand it but doesn't understand the overarching point. So he kept making one wrong point after the other, and I don't even know how all of this connects to that discussion that took place between Ali Dawah and that vermin, worthless opponent. Because you could say that discussion was some points, and of course I'm sure Ali Dawah, I've spoken to him myself, totally accepts that there were some off-key moments. He overdone it with the insults and so on. It's off-key a little bit. Okay, no problem. He done that. But you cannot say that individual, the worthless opponent, really said or done anything detrimental to the case of Islam. He didn't really put any shubha there that wasn't already in the public profile, public record, and wasn't dealt with conclusively by one person or another. He didn't stump Ali Dawah in any of the questions that we saw. So I think, yes, the attitude, the general attitude and the behavior was overcooked, could be seen as off key in some areas, and I'm sure he's critical enough. I've spoken to him to understand all of those points. But some of the things, despite all of that, that this man was saying was totally wrong. Saying that you shouldn't be calling him apus, and mentioning وَلَا تَسُبُّوا الَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ فَيَسُبُّوا اللَّهَ عَدْوًا بِغَيْرِ عِلْمٍ, the ayah. That don't curse their gods because they'll curse Allah. But this guy was cursing already Allah and the Messenger. It doesn't apply to him at all. This is qiyas ma wujud al-fariq, this analogy. And this shows now the lack of criticality or understanding and assessment or analysis or ability of this individual who came on Sajid's program, because they're both opportunistic. And you can see the ghil, you can see the resentment. And even on the comments, some people are saying it's clear that you guys are doing this for emotional reasons. People are not stupid. And this is what I want to say. People are not stupid. The lay audiences are not stupid. People can see that you're jealous. I'm really sorry to say it that way. You're inspired and motivated by jealousy. I've got good evidence for this that I can't reveal for personal reasons. I can't go into, but we know you are jealous. We know you are doing this for clout. We know that you're doing this because, let's be honest, we believe in iman, the iman, we believe that iman is at-tasdiq bil-janan, the heart, and then the lisan, and then the arkan, the body, the parts, and all that stuff. So you are a product of what you do continuously. If we look on Sajid's, I'm sorry to say, his YouTube channel, and see the most viewed videos, unfortunately, he's realized the trend, which is that he's most relevant when he's attacking other Muslim people. And if we continually praise or reward him as the Muslim community for doing that, he becomes a serious liability for the da'wah. And I get it. Yeah, some things that Ali does, or that I do, or that he will do, or that anyone does, must be called to account. And there must be internal screening, critical program. Of course, there has to, and there is that. We 100% believe in that. In fact, Ali Dawah has came and seen us today, and we had a very prolonged conversation with him, talking about what he can improve for next time, what all these things is happening. Some people within the community account him and account me, account Sabur Ahmad, account all of those du'at, speaking here from the UK perspective. But the lambasting approach where you try and do isqat, try and take somebody out, is different to try and improving a product. We know the difference. The people know the difference. And I will say finally about this, that there was a point where he's talking about philosophy, or that the discussion about philosophy and using philosophy in dawah. We've spoken about this at length. You can look at our videos on SP Files and my videos even on my own channel about what we mean by philosophy and why it's valid or whatever in certain contexts, in certain other contexts it's not, and all that. You can see, just put my name and put philosophy, and you'll see all the Muhammad Hijab philosophy on YouTube, and you'll see all these videos where we're detailing these issues. However, if your issue really was about philosophy, then why is it that, the one person that you've already associated with, Daniel Haqiqachu, who literally, he runs a philosophy institute, is not being also implicated in your discourses? Is it because he's an enemy of an enemy? Habib, adu habibi, that the enemy of the enemy is my friend? And because obviously you're both going against Yaqeen Institute and all this kind of, do you think we can't see this stuff? Do you think we can't see this stuff? Do you think that the lay people, the Muslim people, are ignorant enough not to be able to see these allegiances? My last point here is, we need to look at the maslaha al-kubra, the major, bigger picture, common interest of the Muslim people, not about this group or that group. I say to you, Brother Sajid, what I hope that you will respond in the positive, which is that enough is enough of this partisanship, hizbiyah, and this allegiance to people in your vicinity, and the isqat of the Muslimun, not contacting them even privately. You didn't speak to Ali Dawah privately before you did any of this stuff. Enough is of taking out personal agendas and making it look like deen. Enough of all of this. Why don't we come to ard mushtaraka, a common ground, and we speak about the issues you find are problematic, and at the end of it we agree. I mean, quite frankly, he's been making some videos recently, some comments, and I'll make this point as well, about YouTube ads. He said that YouTube ads, you shouldn't be using YouTube ads because it has haram things. Now YouTube has put, so look at the logic. He's saying YouTube ads have haram aspects, so therefore you're not allowed to put YouTube ads on. Itlaqan. There's no maslaha mafsada, there's no looking at the good and bad and weighing up. Okay, that's the position. He made that clear. But now YouTube has imposed a policy where everybody has to, the adverts are going to be there whether you enable them or not. So on that logic, if putting YouTube ads is haram in all circumstances, then you putting your videos up is haram, because there's no maslaha mafsada, there's no weighing up pros and cons. Therefore, you should take your whole channel down. But now, see, subhanAllah, life forces you to be pragmatic. Life forces you to be pragmatic. You're still putting up videos, knowing full well that YouTube can put up videos of gambling and alcohol. But you are acting, sorry to say, sanctimoniously about other brothers that were putting up videos on YouTube, saying that they shouldn't put it up because, you know, of this, that, and the other, and Allah will provide. The same thing can be said of you now. Get off YouTube. Go into another platform where videos are no longer a thing. YouTube is not the only social media outlet. You can go to Instagram. You can go to other outlets which don't have adverts. So let's see if you're going to remain principled, or you're going to realize that pragmatism is not how you first defined it. And the idea of usul, ad-darurat tubih al-mahdhurat, hajat tubih al-makruhat, all the things that we've studied, all those principles now come into play. So that's what I'm going to say, that it's not black and white. The way you deal with Ali Dawah, the way you deal with this person or that person, or Norman Ali Khan, or Mufti Menku, any of the individuals that you've lambasted on your channel for gain, whether you think it's religious gain or otherwise. I think that you need to now realize that people are starting to see through you, and it's only a matter of time until you become totally irrelevant. So instead of that, focus on yourself. Focus on your own product. Focus on your own videos, akhi. And may Allah bless you, and I make dua for you to be on the right path, and we can be one yad, one hand, one body. Al-Muslim lil-Muslim kal-bunyan yashuddu ba'duhu ba'da. That the Muslim to another Muslim is like one building, that we put ourselves, we hold each other together, not what you're doing, which is the hedm approach, or breaking the approach. This is haram. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.